that when it is something, and to your point, Carrie, when there's a campaign that's like super targeted and you know exactly the ICP that you're going after, or if you're doing a very specific account-based marketing push, that you really consider investing dollars, as a marketer, you consider investing dollars either to boost your organic post, which still then looks very, natural in terms of its presentation in the feed to the user, but you're going to get a much bigger and better reach there than you would probably with an organic post, or that you really invest in some of the opportunities that are available, on LinkedIn. And I don't know if you are comfortable to share, Carrie, but there's, opportunity to drive traffic from LinkedIn to your website. And there's opportunity then to do lead gen advertising, which stays on platform. Do you use both? Do you find one works better than the other?
Yeah, I think the first is kind of what we do. So I'm not sure we're using any of the lead gen based on LinkedIn, but I will say that one of the challenges that we have with the organic side of things is quantity over quality, right? And sometimes we tend to lean towards quantity, which is great and it's good for branding awareness and things like that. But one of the areas that we're trying to improve on is the engagement side of things, and I think that's where the quality of the posts come in, and so that's something that we're kind of working on right now to not only boost our posts but also our engagement levels as well.
Excellent. Jacqueline, I think you mentioned earlier that, you internally are starting to use, I think you mentioned Chat GPT, but I'll just say generative AI. So we're kind of talking about two things here. We're talking about the digital landscape and how people are going from a user behavior or a buyer journey. They're going to these platforms to actually do their search versus going to, a Google to find you. But then there's also internally for your organization, how you might be, using generative AI for, help and support on the marketing side departmentally. So do you want to maybe just talk a little bit about how your marketing team is using generative AI?
Yeah, to start, pretty basic of a draft of blog posts or content for our website, helping us create charts for our website. So the type of content that wants to show up in the AI overview or other platforms. And then I think an interesting area is research on your competitors or research on your sales prospects. So it's really good to see how they show up in an AI platform. And so looking into them, looking who does show up when you're looking for who shows up for an EPDM foam gasket, who's going to be there and what type of content do they have on their website, and then going back and fixing our content to be better.
I know. Totally changing subjects. And John, I'm going to pose this question to you. How often are you updating? We talked a lot about content, right? And on-site content, and you have a very technical, product and the use of video and how important that is. So how often are you updating your website?
That's a great question because we're working on more visibility right now, refreshing and updating our website. So
I won't say that I didn't know that and leave
yeah,
that up to
exactly.
you.
So historically, we've been about 5 years. Every 5 years, we're looking to refresh and update the website. And going through this process now, we probably need to shorten that interval. But 2020 was the last time we really updated our website, so we're looking to 2025, 26 to launch it. And so the interactions, the user experience is a big part of it. Less clicks, and then the content. We talked about content as well. I'm struggling with also in the design of the website to make sure so everything's searchable, but what do we put in the front end or the back end? We don't want to put, our specifications and details where our competitors can get at, but we want to give enough in the front end that can be searched. So that's all the type of, goals that we are looking for our website. And then also, how do we integrate in generative AI, search into that as well. So.
Yeah, for sure. Carrie, what about you all? What tends to be the cadence in terms of either a refresh or just a total redo?
Yeah, so we did a total redo a couple of years ago with you guys. I expect that to be in place, at least 5 years, but we are constantly looking at what our competitors are doing online. If there's any functionality that maybe we need to look into, and so having you guys as a partner has been really great for that. I'd say one of the areas we have to make sure we're good with is compliance, right? So making sure we're compliant with privacy laws, which sometimes change. You have to go back and tweak a little bit, and also accessibility. So that's very important for us. So making sure that we're compliant and that we're also trying to keep things fresh, because as we all know, technology is moving very fast.
That is true, and some great points that you called out there. Thank you for that. Just being mindful of time here, Jacqueline, I want to throw a question out to you. Fast forward 2 years, to Carrie's point, technology is moving really fast. The landscape is continuously changing. I don't know that any of us last year at this time would have understood the impact of ChatGPT and OpenAI, right? I think the past probably 4 or 5 months, it's been warp speed. But if we look ahead 2 years, what do you think digital visibility for manufacturers looks like? And what do you think will really make a leader based on, what they're focused on or what they're doing, a leader in their space? Where's the competitive edge in 2 years?
Yeah, it's like looking into a crystal ball. Pretty tough question, but
yeah, everyone's leaning in listening here, Jacqueline. So go ahead, tell.
I think being able to show up on the AI platforms is key. So staying in tune with up to date, keeping everything up to date, updating your content, and then the mindset. So there's so many people out there that have the mindset of AI is going to steal all of our jobs. We really need to move forward from that because it's here and it's going to keep growing, and we're pretty much at the dial-up phase. So we've got a long ways to go, and we have to accept it so that we can create more time for ourselves, use it to create more time for yourself, and working on harder decisions, harder challenges, and use AI and the agents to do more of the mundane or tasks that can be done pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, that's the agentic experience. Basically, the AI agent is taking over for the user in terms of processing or requesting information. And Christy, maybe you can drop in the chat the recent video blog post from Matt Crowley on our team, who did really a walkthrough of his experience letting an AI agent buy he and his son baseball tickets, where the AI agent did the entire thing for him based upon what he, had asked ChatGPT for. And it really was like, assistant, a personal assistant or an executive assistant that then went through the process and handled something for you. So I appreciate you bringing up the AI agentic experience, and Christy will drop that blog post in the chat there. I'd encourage everyone to take a look at it. John, this kind of ties into you talking about, the user experience on your website. And since you're working with us, of course, we'll make sure that this is covered as part of your new site. But there is a point, and whether that's 2 years, whether it's less than 2 years, I'm not sure. We don't have a crystal ball, but there is going to be a point in time where your website has to not only be good for users, it has to be good for agents. Because if people, users, potential customers are going to be using AI agents to make their life easier, i.e. save time by doing a lot of this like legwork and research, then it's the agent that's going to be coming to your website and moving around, processing, digesting information, asking for quotes, etc. And so you really, this focused on, it has to be SEO friendly, your site has to be SEO friendly. And now it's, we shifted to, yes, it has to be SEO friendly, but it also has to be user friendly. Well, let's throw one more hat into the ring. It's got to be SEO friendly and Gen AI friendly. It's got to be SEO friendly because we still have a large population of referring traffic for all you manufacturers that are coming from traditional Google search. Let's not fool ourselves. Those numbers are still high and meaningful, but futuristically looking ahead, we should, especially if you're going to be doing a website refresh or rebranding or redesign, you really should be thinking about now how the agent experience will impact things. Carrie, kind of wrapping up here, what is one key takeaway for those that are joining us and listening today, or a piece of advice for the manufacturing leaders that we have joining us? What would you say?
Well, I would say definitely need to start looking at generative AI now, right? If you're not, you're already behind the eight ball, I feel like. And so figuring out what that means, like you said, I just wrote down AI agents. I feel like we need a new persona, right? to define that I hadn't really thought about that one yet, but really becoming an early adopter, I think, of at least the generative AI. I also feel like that from a content perspective, content is such a challenge, and it's so key to everything that we do. So I do feel like in a couple of years, AI will make content development easier, right? It'll still be you need to verify, right? But I do hope for that we'll be able to utilize AI for some content development. But really, how do we have to optimize that content going forward? I think is what we really need to think about. And so, content is still going to be so important. It starts there. So I guess that's what I would say.
Great. John, you have anything to add?
Yeah, and going through the website update with you, and more visibility, that's really it struck me that we are behind in AI, and we still need to, as a company, as a corporation, develop what our policy and IP protection will be, and so what information we can put out there so the AI agents can search and collect all the information to reach into us. So that will be our challenge, over the next 2 years, to figure out, are we going to be falling behind, or can we be leaders?
Party and almost everyone indicated some level of importance for having a better grasp around generative AI. But the interesting thing is, where the top 3 areas where marketers said they would really need help and support on, the first one was strategic consulting on generative AI integration and tools. So I don't think any of you, are alone here, particularly for those of you who don't use it yet internally in your organization. There's certainly a number of companies that have not embraced and adopted it yet. And that's where I think as marketers, you all can really champion that cause in terms of helping to understand the importance of it. So Jacqueline, I'll kind of give you the floor to give any final thoughts relative to, one piece of advice that moving into Q4 2025, which unbelievably here, calendar Q4 is just 2 weeks away. What would you suggest or recommend people focus on right now?
Staying up to date. So my best way that I'm doing that currently is listening to all different podcasts. If you spend any time on a train, a plane, or a car, podcasts have been so helpful in just getting ideas of how to implement. A couple ones that I listen to is The Next Wave, the All In podcast, Manufacturing Happy Hour, Operators. And then anything that Dharmesh Shah from HubSpot jumps on, I mean, he's amazing and very, very smart and talented in AI. So that has definitely given me so many ideas along the way.
Awesome. Manufacturing happy hour. I like that. It's only Thursday though, so I guess we probably should either wait a few hours or till Friday, right? Christy, were there any questions that we didn't cover through, I know you were feeding me a few things that I was trying to help, but anything burning, pressing that we maybe can try to cover before we wrap?
Yeah, I would say just sticking to generative AI, not surprisingly. And again, throw this out to everybody and whoever wants to jump in on it. But there's a lot of wondering about, since there's so much competition already for content showing up in generative AI, which I mean, just like search, it's just there's so much content out there. Is there anything that you would say is, you know, the number one thing that you're focusing on with your content or your website to be more competitive in visibility in generative AI? So I shared a few ideas with the asker, but anything that you all want to share, please let me know.
I'll jump in here. I would say it's really for us, it's thinking about people search differently on, you know, with AI, right? It's they're more answering a question versus addressing a keyword or search term. And so really understanding and having the analytics and the tools to see what people are, what's trending, and monitoring that. And that's hard, right? It's another full-time job. So finding the right partner, I think, is so key when it comes to generative AI and figuring out how to optimize that content. But I think for us, it's taking on more of a thought leadership role than just trying to sell something, I think, from our perspective.
That's a great point. The thought leadership, the authenticness or the authentic nature of the content, I believe, is really what will be a huge competitive edge. But that takes time and that takes resources. And Jacqueline, to your point, in terms of, you know, leaning in and leveraging where you can get assistance from AI, you know, for ideation and stuff. Anything you want to add to that?
Automating as much as you can. So we did a lot of projects this year with More Viz and our CRM, and having the automated analytics allows you to make decisions faster and you can pivot quickly. You can update your campaigns quickly, move money from Google AdWords to LinkedIn. Having a lot of the analytics automated saves time and allows you to do that.
Yeah, great. John, any final words before we wrap up?
No, it's appreciate the time today in the audience, and once again, we're still trying to figure out what AI and what's going to be going. So I'm looking forward to working with, you know, more visibility to, you know, enhance that and kind of give me guidance and leadership on, you know, what the next stages are.
It is certainly a moving target at any given time, and we do all need to have, you know, our finger on the pulse and be looking forward. But to the point I made earlier, we can't forget about what's here and now today. And Google search still very much, with as much attention and focus as generative AI is being given. And I'm glad, because we want to be prepped and ready and, you know, having, you know, staying the course for the future and not being caught off guard. And the adoption will move very fast. I know that. But today, many of you are still getting a majority of your leads from the more traditional digital channels. And so we have to remember to continue to focus there while we balance against looking for the future. what a great conversation this has really been. I am so grateful for your time today, John, Carrie, and Jacqueline, as well as for all of the people. We had a great crowd joining us today. If we didn't get to your questions, then certainly Christy and I will try to follow up with you directly. There's contact information in the chat. On behalf of Christy, myself, and the More Visibility team, we really do thank you. John from Ibarra Technologies, Carrie from Leonardo DRS, and Jacqueline from Interstate Specialty Products. Wishing everyone a fantastic day. Here's to keeping up with moving, changing technology at warp speed. Take care.
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.